this guy who was caught, we haven't talked about it on the show yet, but you might have heard about it. Najibullah Azazi, this 24-year-old Afghan guy who is legal resident of the United States, was planning attacks against New York, and he apparently wanted to launch those attacks on September 11th. And very clever, I got it. And he had gone over to Pakistan to get some training. And what I found interesting about the story is that he was going around getting hydrogen peroxide, like nail polish remover, and he was going around around the Denver area where his family is, and then in the New York area where he planned to carry out the attacks, going like store to store, like going to a CVS and be like, oh yeah, I'll take a dozen, and then goes to another store and he takes another dozen nail polish removers. One, that's a little clownish because that's the kind of thing that could attract attention. Why is this guy going around to every store buying this stuff? But they were on his ass before that anyway, right? But number two, it led me to thinking, you know what? These guys don't know what the hell they're doing. I mean, it's kind of a funny conclusion, one where you go, of course they don't know what they're doing. But like, he went and got training in Pakistan from Al-Qaida. And the training told him, go buy nail polish removers from all over Denver. Doesn't it seem clownish to you? So when you look back, the shoe bomber, total clown, this guy's a total clown, the Lackawanna 6 total clowns, like, everybody was a clown. Now, of course, 9/11 was disastrous and, for their perspective, an unbelievable success. But what did they do that with? A bunch of box cutters and empty threats. I mean, God, in some ways, I don't want to say these words, but it seems like they got really lucky on 9/11. I mean, to pull off that size of a plot with just box cutters, they don't have any. It looks from this plot and from all the other plots, they don't have any great scientists on their side. It's not like they've got an equivalent of 007 there, and but then when you open the umbrella, the whole thing blows. I mean, they're in there like cooking up. He was in a hotel room trying to cook this stuff up, right? I mean, it's clownorama. And so part of the reason I guess I say that is because, we built these guys up, these Al-Qaeda guys, as like, oh my God, they're prime evil, and they're like this dark force. Remember, the Republicans during the Bush years called it an existential threat, meaning it threatens the very existence of America. That they were going to set up an Islamic caliphate that took over Europe and then maybe even eventually took over America. With nail polish remover? No. Look, can they launch a plot every once in a while that succeeds? Of course. And then I get it, that stuff is explosive. You put it together in the right combination, and you can do some damage like they did in London, and 50 people killed. Terrible, right? And then if you get supremely lucky and our side is negligent and everything goes right for you, you have a disastrous 9/11 kind of thing. But are they taking over the country with their nail polish remover? Is it an existential threat? Are we this close to getting taken over by Islamic caliphate run by these Najibullah Azazi clowns? No. Come on. And credit to the, our intelligence agencies here and the FBI, I presume, who was tracking this guy down. Yep, FBI indeed. And they got him. Ladies and gentlemen, they got him. So nicely done. And he apparently has 3 accomplices. So they're tracking those guys and they're trying to find them as well. Let's hope they get on that, because that sounds a little dangerous, of course. And, I don't want to diminish the threat overall. Those guys can still be cooking up their, little hydrogen peroxide, and next thing you know, they blow up a subway train and a lot of people die. So let's go get those guys. Okay, but a nice job on this fellow to begin with. They had to act because they were worried that his messages were getting more and more urgent. Otherwise, they would have waited longer to try to get the 3 other guys at the same time. In fact, he went to New York the day Obama was going to New York. They thought about nabbing him then, but they let him wait a little longer. And then when his messages got to the point where it seemed like he was about to act, that's when they stepped in. That's nice law enforcement. That's exactly how you're supposed to do it. By the way, yes, it was law enforcement to stop terrorism and active terrorism here in the U.S. Remember what the Republicans said. The Democrats treat this like it's law enforcement. I guess if they were in charge, instead of arresting him, they would have invaded his home country. Oh, right, they already did. He's from Afghanistan.